Mike, we're doing a high school sports segment here with the spring sports. The spring sports don't get enough credit anyhow. We always talk football. We talk basketball, a little bit of wrestling in the winter. But these guys in the spring they're the jam brains.
And they feel different. Yeah. They're more relaxed.
Yeah.
It's more sometimes I sympathize with these spring sport coaches because they've got to fit the stuff in around the prom and all this end of the year graduate, all this end of the year stuff. So it just lends a little bit more of an informal feel to the whole thing.
It's funny, I used to cover girls soccer here in Lancaster, and they'd have it at 11 o'clock, or they'd be switching the days because it interfered with the proms for the school. And I think CV had their prom Saturday, and they were in the finals, and it was a really early game to get that in.
There you go.
One of the girls that played so well for CV that helped score a goal, Samara, she is a ninth grader, so she probably wasn't going to the prom, so she wasn't worried as much about that. But
we have this one Saturday every year in the spring that I always used to refer to when I worked at another newspaper, and I sort of had to cover all this stuff myself, as the Spring Sports Day from Hell, because it's always on the same Saturday. It's the league track meet. It's the first round of the baseball and softball playoffs, which are 4 games each, and then you plus you have soccer, you've got lacrosse, you've got et cetera, et cetera. So it's just a day where there's so much going on. And if you saw the Sunday news this week, you saw that it was the sports section was very, very local sports dominated.
It really is. Jim Hirsch probably still calls that the sports center. He's pulling his hair. But, let's talk about it. You were at baseball at Ephrata. Some observations from the games you saw.
Well, crazy games, and I think Hempfield looked like the best team. They were at one time this year ranked number 1 in the state, and they have a lot of pitching and a lot of depth, and they look like a team that could be playing for a long time now, could be playing well into the summer vacation time of the year. They look like the best team, but not so much so that a Lampeter Strasburg wouldn't be capable of beating them. Maybe a Lancaster Catholic, and maybe even a Pequea Valley of the 4 semifinalists. So we'll see. Those semifinals are tonight at Ephrata.
What was the crazy game? Catholic was involved. What was the game where some team was up by? What was
Lancaster Catholic Solanco. Lancaster Catholic is down 11-0 after 3 innings. Okay. Down 13-3 in the 4th inning. Now there's a 10-run rule, remember, and but they're batting in the bottom of the inning because they were a section champ, and they scored and kept the game going and ended up scoring 11 times in the 6th inning and won the game by the football-esque score of 17-13.
So if they would have been considered the visiting team, that game would have been over, and they never had a chance to.
Well, but you have the same. You have equal number of bats, though.
Yeah,
so theoretically,
but if it would have flipped, if it would have flipped around, and the other team.
Well,
if Solanco would have been the bottom and they scored all those runs, that game was over.
A 10-run difference after 5 innings.
That's incredible.
It could have happened.
A story.
Yeah.
And the fact is, you have to about 6 inches for each of these games to get in because of the spacing. It's just incredible. Dave Byrne covered the softball. And
God love him.
Story. They came back and they said your observations, and he says he thinks Mannheim's going to win it. We'll see. CV, they have 3 losses in the year. I know their coach Minnie really well, Larry, and only 3 losses on the year. But they have a girl who's a very good pitcher, threw a no-hitter.
Yep.
You get in the playoffs and you're throwing no-hitters. That's really you got to have good pitching in softball. It really makes a difference. That's the big equalizer.
I really think softball. If you look at all high school sports, pitcher in softball is the single most important position in any high school sport. They're a huge element in the game.
You got to bring up track. They had the league track meet. CV boys win and the Hempfield girls win. For the CV boys, I remember when these teams for boys and girls for CV were just horrible back when they had the stone track, the gravel.
Yeah, they don't have a lot of tradition.
Art Morris comes in now. He's no longer there, and they've had other coaches, but you can see the building. Same thing happened with girls soccer at CV. They've had the 3rd coach now. Now it's Pete Schellenberger, and now they win a league title. You can see it just growing at that. And the sports
I don't know
impressive.
that we. I don't know. I'm sorry to interrupt you. No. I don't know if we have a state championship team contender in our league this year, but we have some really, really outstanding individuals on the girls' side. Some really good young girls. A kid named Hegleson, who's a sprinter for Hempfield, But on the boys' side, we have a kid named Kyle Long in the discus, full ride to Arizona State. He's one of the best discus throwers in the country. And Kyle Felpel from Cocalico in the shot put, full ride to Alabama, who is one of the best shot putters in the country. I mean, these kids are 200 feet, like 180, 190 feet with a disc. 60 feet with the shot put. If you know track, you know how impressive that is. It's pretty strong.
Very impressive. I just hope, and we haven't even really talked about lacrosse, it's up and coming, and we haven't talked volleyball. I just hope these new fees that are taking place. Manham Township just had a board meeting where they're going to increase the fees to play sports and not going to have it capped. How much of the impact, because there'll be a trickle-down effect where other schools do that too, how much will impact where students don't play the multiple sports or they don't come out as much? Because this time of year, it's just jam-packed with kids playing sports, and how's that going to change when you're paying
you
more?
hope that the fees don't hurt participation
Yeah.
at a time of year when there's so much, with the explosion of lacrosse now, there's so much participation is maybe the single word that you would use to describe spring sports, and you hope that these fees don't hurt that.